Turn on my info. All right. Hello, people. How you doing? Welcome to SketchCraft Live. I'm Rob Duenas, and tonight we're going to be talking about episode 43 of the podcast, which is going to be all about Ashley West. Ashley, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
All right. If you don't know Ashley, then you haven't listened to the podcast for like the past several months or so now, I think. Somewhere around there. Maybe a year?
Yeah,
Almost.
December. Probably
Al-
December-ish.
Almost. Wow, how time flies. So today we're going to be going over all things concerning you, and you've launched a Kickstarter, and we got all sorts of stuff to talk about. I want to get right into it. Let's bring up the Kickstarter. Ba-ba-bum. Velthaneus, Rosterworks. So this is Ashley's first to be one of 3,000 Kickstarters, right? Over the next year. Just going to keep launching them.
Oh yeah.
Gonna keep
One after another.
cranking those little suckers out and just not shipping stuff.
That's a lot of work. It makes
Yeah.
me. I said it again. I felt like I was in high school again, and I had this assignment to do, and I was like, I don't want to do it. It feels like schoolwork, but I got it done.
Yeah, and then you'll just spend all the money on going to Thailand and Australia, and you'll never ship anything, right? Right, and you'll buy a bunch of hot toys, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Replica Mega Potato statues in full Tony Stark armor. So, pretty cool. So, a lot of people have been asking for the past year, who is this Ashley person you have on the cast, and why?
Apparently, I'm a boy.
Well, Brandon's a little girl, so yeah, we can flip around here. Why don't we just go ahead and start off really quick? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. I think you're in like Texas or Antarctica
Yeah.
or something like that. And then what initially drove you to pursue being a professional artist versus just, for fun?
Right. So, I am from Texas. I've lived in Texas my whole life. Um, but I guess the thing about drawing, I don't know, like I've kind of always wanted to be an artist. Like except for when I was like a real little kid, I was like, I want to be a magician. But then I mean, and then it was like, well, that's kind of not realistic. Maybe let's be an artist, And so, because I really,
That's a really nice through line. Magician, artist,
but
homeless.
But I think my first, I guess, the first things I was influenced by was, I was kind of like I'm not an only child. Like I have two sisters that are really like one's 14 years older than me and one's 7.5 years older than me. So I was kind of like when I was a kid, they were one was in college already, and I was the other one was in high school. So I just kind of entertained myself a lot, and so I just drew. And like my dad, my dad supported me. He bought me, my mom and dad bought me, all the supplies I needed, I guess. So they kind of like supported it that way. And I would just watch cartoons and play outside and draw. Pretty much that's all I did, and play video games, I guess. But
Any particular favorite cartoons? Like
yeah, like I used to watch Dexter's Lab, like when I was real little. Dexter's Lab, I Am Weasel, Cow and Chicken, like all those. And then it kind of morphed into like Digimon a little bit.
And then Akira and Ninja Scroll.
Yeah.
Got real violent.
And then of course, all the Disney movies, we had all of them. So I guess like just watching all those cartoons and stuff, I was like, I want to do that. And for some reason, for a while, I was like, I want to draw Fred Flintstone. And I would draw Fred Flintstone. That was a really weird pick. And I wasn't really one of those people that would draw other like the characters and stuff. I mean, just again, like for some reason, Flintstone was a fluke. I don't know why. But I kind of liked to make up my own characters a lot. I would like do things where I'd like cut up a whole bunch of pieces of paper and throw them in a hat and be like, all right, I would write down like giraffe and like kangaroo and all these animals, and then I would pull like two out and I'd be like, okay, now I got to morph it into some crazy monster. And so I would do things like that and just make up some weird monster. I was really into drawing monsters.
That's how they come up with Family Guy, right? They just throw a
What?
bunch of things in a hat, right, and toss them
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. Of course, I'd pick one out and go, I don't want to draw that. Pick again, But like I was a real big fan of like Don Bluth too, like his films. Like there's something different about it. Like they look like Disney films, but they weren't. Like that whole thing. Because I mean, he kind of he sectioned off, I guess, from Disney. But
yeah, so people don't know who Don Bluth is. Really quickly, Don Bluth was an actual former Disney animator who went and launched his own studio, and he's kind of more famous for The Secret of Nim, Dragon's Lair, Space Ace,
or the newer one, Titan AE.
Before that, American Tail. Probably his biggest success, right? American Tail.
Yeah, American Tail and that was good. Like American Tail, that's one of my. I love that movie. I love Fievel Goes West. That one was good too. I mean, the first one obviously is the best one, but
it ended with Titan AE. Like
the Land. Yeah, well, I know, and some people don't like that movie. I love that movie, but also was The Land Before Time.
Don't quote me on that one.
Yeah, I don't know, but Land Before Time was another one. Again, all those. I was into dinosaurs too. So again, that also, see, me drawing all those dinosaurs and stuff like that and monsters, that's why there's monsters in Velthaneus, because I love drawing monsters. Like it's funny because I used to not draw people at all. Like I hate drawing people. And I finally got into it and I draw them all the time now, like probably more than anything.
At some point you're like, I'm probably going to have to draw people. Like
yeah, I'm probably going to have to. And then, but now but I still harken back to the monsters and they're there in the background, So
sweet. So so you wrote down some of your biggest influences. Don Bluth we covered, obviously the 90s, early 2000s, platforming games, and Earthworm Jim. So how big would you say games like Earthworm Jim or even early PlayStation games were? It seems pretty influential, right? When you look at your art.
Yeah.
And
it is.
Like if we cut over to the check deck's off ahead. Like if we look over at some of these designs you already got going on, I mean, it's kind of right out that era,
Yeah. Well, you got like, wait, hold on.
Let's see if it'll will actually load. Oh my god, it loaded. That's amazing. That's so good. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do really quickly so you can see is now you can stream from my desktop so you don't have a delay.
Yeah, no, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Am I saying the right thing?
No, you're saying all right. So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely like right out that. I mean, like, and then look, you just Earthworm Jim.
Well, you've got like the big buff dude, you got like the chick with the big boobs, and then you've got like these smaller characters, and So.
Did you ever watch Cool World?
Oh yeah, that's another. I remember being 5 years old and watching that with my dad and being like, "What is this? It's so cool." Of course, I was always watching awkward things with my dad that sometimes I wish I hadn't. But
yeah, it's the heavy metal version of Roger Rabbit, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, so you're kind of just now getting started in your self-publishing career, we would say, right? Like your own self-publishing works. But do you have any freelance stories or anything before you did this? Like, have you done freelance?
Yeah, one time I just remember, and it sticks with me ever since. And it's like, it just shows the power of how much better you can get. One time, and I wasn't necessarily a bad artist at this time. I just was I did a lot of like realistic renderings of people's faces, but I hadn't really honed up my cartooning skills. So it was just a different kind of art that I wasn't used to. Mm-hmm. And I remember this one guy asked me, "Hey, will you do a t-shirt for me?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah." And I did the t-shirt. And I'm not going to say what it was, but somebody commented when on the design online, they said, "It looks like a fucking kid drew it." And I'm like, damn. Ouch. and just things like that. And then I go and I look back today and go like, say it now.
Say it now.
Say it.
Like Stranger Things, right? Like
yeah. I mean, you just gotta like know that, everybody goes through that where someone says something really mean for no reason, and you'll get past it. You just gotta be patient and draw every day and whatnot, you know. So I don't know.
Every day.
That's what I do. I draw every day, even if it's only for like 30 minutes. I try to do something. So,
Josh from the Josh from the chat room says, "Hey, you like darn dinosaurs too? Hated drawing
whee!
people. Hated drawing people. Yeah, I avoided drawing
You know why?
hair.
You know why? I was gonna say how I got around that was obviously Thane is not a person really. I mean he's a human, but he's got like ears like a goat dog thing, and I just made them like kind of like pseudo people, and that's kind of how I got around it. Where I was like, I like this, and then now like drawing people is no problem, So that's how I transitioned into it. So.
So, how often have you done like as artists sometimes we take some gigs we probably shouldn't have. Have you done caricatures at fairs? Did you ever have to do children's parties? Did you ever have to?
Nope, never did that.
That's tough.
Yeah,
I've been there. You did do T-shirts for a while, right? Like you did
I
your own.
did. Yeah, and let me tell you, screen printing, it's hard. Like, because my sister went to Micah, and so she came back with like a little bit of screen printing knowledge. Micah, is a art institute in Maryland, Baltimore,
Okay.
Maryland. Anyway, and so she came back and she's like, "Yeah, you want to screen print?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And that's kind of where we first came up with Gang Feather anyway. Like I came up with the name and stuff, and she kind of like painted this little feather design, which it looks way different than what it does now. And I was like, I'm gonna digitize that, and so I kind of like I made it more edgy and stuff.
You put it
And
in
so
the
that's
computer.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
now it's like it's a tattoo on Thane's face, and like so I just kind of did everything. I did. Well, that was kind of a dumb question. That was a dumb answer. Anyway, from there on out, we were like, well, let's brand, or create our own brand of T-shirts and do this thing. Well, come to find out that that's really hard and really expensive, really expensive.
Really? You didn't
And
just roll in the monies, didn't make it rain,
no,
and
no,
get a bunch of gold
and
iPhones?
and we would go into these. We bought a 4-station screen printer,
Okay.
and we did all right. We had everything we needed basically to make it go. We did was it G4 Gen 4 inks, like these, like, what is it, these inks that are like environmentally safe.
Okay.
And of course then there's like they're not
Plastisol.
yeah, they're not plastisol inks, so they behave differently, and you have to make sure you have the right squeegee, which is like the little thing that you use to press the ink into the shirt when you run it across
Or when
the screen.
someone jumps in front of your car and tries to
Yeah,
clean
it's
your
like
window.
it was really weird. It was like the harder the softer the ink, the harder the squeegee you need. It was weird, like and I know not a lot of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you probably do, but anyway, I'm not going to go into it. But just stuff like that was like it would just grind my gears, and I'd be like, grr! And I was like, at this time I was 19, so
Well, did you go to Comic Cons with T-shirts? I mean,
no,
where were
no,
you?
we never
What kind
did.
of
So
shirts?
I was gonna say these were kind of like our own designs. Like some of them were my designs, some of them were her designs, like half and half. And we would take them to EDM festivals, and we would get everything but somebody wanting to buy a shirt. I mean, sure, we did sell.
They don't wear
few,
any
like,
clothes at EDM concerts, though, right?
right? Like what they would do would be like, "Can you hold my clothes for me?"
You
And I'm
took the
like,
one thing they don't want.
yeah. No, yeah, yeah. And I remember this one guy came up and was like, "Will you wash my shirt for me?" Or and I was like, he's like, "Wait a minute. Can I pay you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." and then like I'd get people that would so I watched this, I babysat this guy's stuff for money. It was really weird one time. He bought a shirt too, so that was kind of cool. But anyways, you get people that come and ask you, "Hey, where's the beer?" And I'm like, "What? Where's the?" And they'd be like, "Where's the bathroom?" They just like, or they go, "Can I use your phone charger?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure, whatever." Like I would, be nice, I guess. But you just get those kind of things, and that's kind of
So when's the
tiring.
last time you did the T-shirt thing? How far back are we
Um,
talking about?
probably 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years. All right.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, what did you decide to do then? So you're like, okay, t-shirts, fucking nuts, plus,
Well, like I was
retail.
gonna say, like you have this question that was like, you, if for anybody that's wants to, like have their own business or stuff, well, I was gonna say is be careful, like if you are running a business with your family, that you don't spend every living waking moment with that person because you're gonna drive each other nutso. And that's what me and my sister did. And because we used to live together. And so we worked together, we lived together, and so eventually we were just like at each other's throats. And so I would just say like that would be like my one advice, like just be careful, like how, I mean, sometimes for some people it works really well. Like you just have that relationship with your brother and sister where you maybe don't fight, or I don't know. But I would just say be careful about that. But eventually it just became me. Like she bought her way out of the company, and so or the business, and I was like, cool. So now it's my show, and so I get to do whatever I want because older sister bossed me around a lot. So
And it just went
it's
right in the closet,
nice.
right? Like
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want, nothing. Boop.
Woo!
Right?
No. But and then so I kind of drew for a while, Fane, and I came up with Colby and stuff, and I had a mentor from high school that came, he kind of like sent me a message on Facebook. He was like, "Hey, Ashley, I see your characters. You ever plan on doing anything with them, like writing a story or whatever?" And he's a writer. And so I was like, "Oh, I didn't really, I mean, I'm not that good. I mean, sure." He's like, "Well, if you want to discuss it, we can discuss it and I can help you." And so he taught me, and he's basically the catalyst that helped me be like, I want to make a story about Thane, and so eventually I kind of did. And he helped me. I think when we were first starting out, he kind of wrote a few scripts for me, and which none of them panned out or anything. And I eventually was like,
But you
I
just
can do.
rejected. You're like, fuck all
I
that.
didn't reject it. I tried to do the comic, and it just didn't work out. And finally, I was like, I'm just starting over again, and I'm gonna write this. And like he was very intuitive, and I think he was waiting for me just to finally have the strength within my own, like to realize that within myself. And he just basically,
You're
yeah, I
like,
think
hey,
he was.
I can hire a copy editor. I don't need.
Well, yeah, but I think, yeah, but I just like eventually I just started writing. I rewrote the treatment and I changed it completely. I rewrote everything, and now for the last year, year to 14 months, I've been, I wrote the treatment, and I've been just writing, and really a lot of it has taken a little bit of time to write because, one, I don't want to write it so
Well,
fast
we'll get
because,
into that in a second. So, one
yeah.
second. So Gamal says in the chat room, doing caricatures was the worst 3 years of his life, but he did learn did learn line confidence. Yeah. So I want to say a little bit about caricatures. Like again, you're doing T-shirts. Probably could have done caricatures and probably made more money. Put them on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah.
characters on it. I don't know. It's weird. Or like a cape because they'd be naked in the front. Like, like if you know what I mean. Like you probably could have done just silkscreen capes and made a lot of money. I don't
Yeah.
know. Retail's so weird, especially with clothing. But like caricatures, I mean, like anything else, when you say a magician, like you were thinking about being a magician, then you jump to an artist. Caricature artist is sort of like one part magician, one part artist, right? Where you have to sort of magically perform in front of people, and
Yeah.
you gotta like interact with
That's
them.
what I don't like.
Yeah. And you're just like, I'll just
Dance
choke you. I'll
monkey? Like,
choke you.
no.
A dance monkey. Dance potato dance. So, all right, so let's roll right into Velthaneus, your new your first Kickstarter and then soon to be movie. Just tell us a little about the basic premise of Velthaneus. Like, what is it overall?
Okay, so basically, I'm just gonna say this. When I was like 20 years old, I took a psychology course, and my psychology teacher was like, "And we're discussing the id," and I'm like, "The id? What is that?" And I was like, ever since then, I've been like kind of really interested in it, and I was like, when I started rewriting this, I'm like, what do I really want to make this about? What do I want to see? And I'm like, what am I interested in? And I'm like, I'm interested in the id, and I want to create something with that in it. So basically, Velthaneus is it's like it's abstract cyberpunk, and it's about the relationship of the psychoanalytic relationship of the id, ego, and superego, and basically how a world would function or how it would look if the id and the superego were biologically present with the ego. And the
Okay,
ego is
hold on.
okay. Sorry.
Okay, you're very excited. Just time out, folks. I'm an old man. All right, I have a gray somewhere around here, and it's not just an alien. Oh no, my hair. So, it's a cyberpunk art novel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that check. Cyberpunk. Who doesn't like cyberpunk, right? Everyone likes cyberpunk. Looking forward to the new cyberpunk game from the guys that made The Witcher. Okay, exploring the psychoanalytic relationship of the id. Now,
Yeah.
via the ego and the superego. Now I'm gonna just guess that the characters represent ego, superego in the way that maybe Inside Out or Herman's Head sort of had like people representing emotions. No?
Not so much.
Okay.
I mean,
Is it are these just loose themes then?
well, like they really okay. Well, like for instance, like id will refer to Thane as ego. He doesn't really call him Thane. He just says ego, and Thane's like, "What id?" You know, like they refer to each other as that because they have that relationship.
Okay.
And you never see inside Thane's head. It's not that thing where they go inside the head and the body. Not doing that.
Okay.
It's a totally external thing. Whatever you see inside Thane's head is him just having normal flashbacks or memories. That, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Wait, so they're more of just living embodiments of these concepts.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of like a specter. He's kind of like a specter. Yeah.
Okay.
Now the superego really is the little ogle. He's like a living thing, a real living thing. So.
Okay.
With basically powers.
So let's just take a look here because I want to make certain that I'm seeing the right thing. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters, right?
Yeah, 5. Yeah, but the 5 main characters. Yeah.
The 5 main characters, and this dude here would be the id. This big guy here.
Which one?
The one
which
way
one?
open image, a new tab. Oh shucks, it's a tiny little image. I'm looking at the bio card. So the one with the big tongue.
Yeah, that's id.
Right, so let's come here. So right here on the far right, it's id. Which one's ego?
Or the ego, that Velthaneus. Thane is technically the ego.
Okay, and then
The self.
who would be the super ego?
Ogle, pink, little pink
This one
dude.
over here?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have 2 other characters.
Which, yeah, so Thane's in the middle. Alexa, well, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Want me to-
Well, just
Want me
because
to
her
explain?
name's Alexa, we'll get to that. And then this one over here, the yellow guy,
Colby.
Colby. Okay, just want to very, very simply explain this so I can get into the story. Now, part 1. So basically, this Kickstarter is just a way to introduce the characters. Right?
Yeah, just introduce. I'm not selling a book yet, but I want to introduce. I want people to kind of be like thinking about it and be like, this is coming, you know. And I wanted to sell some. It's a really good chance to get some art for me too, because I don't sell that a lot.
And give you a chance to learn how to ship things.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if we look at, well, these are some of your fan art representations.
Yeah.
There we go. And you get some world art, which is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, look at it. That's dope. So you're gonna do these all like in 3D too? Gonna pop out at you?
I don't know.
Yeah, 3D statues. So let's look here. Oh, yay ads. 0 ads. Thank you, doggy. No, it doesn't wanna let me. You jerkweed. Okay. Yeah, I know. Like when I do Kickstarters, I like to link them to my DeviantArt because they can just go there and see the images really big.
See, I don't have a DVR, so I'm like a photo bucket. All right, I can do that.
Yeah. So pretty cool. And so each one of these prints would come with like a bio card explaining each character and their background and stuff like that, right?
Right. Yeah, and
Nice.
digital copies.
Super nice. So why don't you go ahead and just, what's the basic story? When you do get to the book, what is the
Right.
basic story going to be about?
Right. So like part 1 is a lot about you're getting to know Thane. You know, it's his introduction, And you get introduced, of course, to Alexa and Colby and the other characters as well. And you kind of get to know a little bit about what everyone does and why they're there. And there's a lot of there's some reflection. Thane kind of reflects a lot, and then and then at the end, kind of part one, there's kind of like the third act where there's you get a lot of action. I mean, there's action. You're introduced with a lot of action.
So
I don't
you're
want to
saying
give
there's a
away.
beginning, middle, and an end, is what you're saying?
Well,
And you're saying there's a
well.
third act in which things happen. It's impressive.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You're gonna try to break things up into acts, even the parts.
But I mean, is the basic story, is it like a heist? Like, is it like, what kind of
Not a
like
heist.
basic genre is it? Is it just space
Uh,
adventure, like screwball
uh,
comedy?
ooh.
Well, come on, writer, you can do it. You got like superhero template. They get together
Uh,
to fight a big bad guy, or they just sort of have interpersonal conflicts.
it's like it's kind of like it's like interpersonal
Okay.
conflicts. I mean, there's a few. I mean, they're like battling. Like, there's a few bad guy. Okay. I'm gonna say this. There's multiple bad guys. You've got like the big bad. You've got like the guys that are in the way right now, and you've got like the little, the fledglings. And so, I there's kind of how am I supposed to explain this? Hmm.
So if you
So,
got Darth Vader on the left, essentially, you got
yeah.
like that big bad guy. Then you got like your Grand Moff Tarkin on the far right. Then you got like these Boba Fett's and these stormtroopers kind of all in the center. These characters got to band together to defeat them, or they're trying to do something and these guys are in the way. Like,
Well, okay. Let's. I'm trying to figure out in my mind what's too much. What's too much and what's not enough. Like, how am I gonna
you're not
explain
gonna
this?
ruin. You could say Star Wars is about a kid trying to do this giant space station, and there's this galactic empire, and they got to defeat the space station. Are you ruining the movie? No.
No. So basically, okay, here we go. Here's how I'm gonna say it. Thane is a legionnaire. That's his job. And he's there because he is he's he's a criminal, basically. So he has to atone for all the bad thing that he did. And so basically, when he was brought there, he had his id removed, and all of the prisoners have their ids removed so that they're like not gonna try to kill people,
Okay.
or
Hmm.
and so because of that, they're actually allowed to go travel and just basically live pretty good lives inside as long as they do their job during the day, they're able to do whatever they want at night, and because they're under control. But there's like these girls that are like uh at the prison, and they go around and they're called idromancers, and that's what Alexa is, and that's why she looks really nice, because she has to be appealing. And so they take the prisoners' ids, and so that's how Thane knows Alexa from the past, is that she took his id. And so basically he so basically there's this really, really evil presence that wants to threaten the world again, and it seeks out basically a host called a Mortito, and there's all these people that really want to be the Mortito, and so that's what they're trying to do in the first act first part, is they're trying to stop kind of like this cult. And so that's where they let the prisoners get their ids back again, so they could basically fight crazy with crazy. But again, they have their ways of keeping the prisoners under control. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to
Yeah,
give
no, that's perfect. I mean, you got
yeah,
goal, motivation, conflict, right?
exactly. And so so the place that they're going to is like in this I call it Bad Air Abyss, because it's basically filled with all this CO2 that's poisonous, and if you breathe too much of it in, you go crazy.
Nice.
And so that's why all the people down there are crazy.
Hmm.
And it's really funny because, sorry, I'm laughing. It's really funny because they're so crazy that they're like they wear like sock puppets on their hands and like drink tea and like, but they're like a whole bunch. They look like they're like, they kind of look like they're from like the Borderlands, where like they're like these like they look like post-apocalyptic because they're just kind of they don't really have many resources, so they have to like keep recycling things, even though this is not a post-apocalyptic land, And then they have like all these gas masks on and stuff. So it's really funny, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a
I
little bit of that sci-fi kind of like Alice in Wonderland, Guardians of the
yeah.
Galaxy, maybe a little bit of that Cool World vibe in space, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit
and
of
it's
that.
just funny because like the Idromancer girls, they're really good at kicking ass, but when they go down there and all the junkie guys see them, they're like, oh, like they've got like all these like sock puppets on their hands and they're like barking out. I don't know. I just like it's just really funny. And like um a lot of the weird things that they do down there too, like the crazy people, I'll take things from my life that are kind of crazy and that I've done, and I'll be like, all right, or I've like seen happen, and I'll kind of like write that in. And so like for instance, like one time I sliced my thumb open on a freaking can, and so like I'll just have like weird guys like just trying to like that was kind of random, but I mean,
Well, that brings up a good point, though. Okay, so you're
yeah.
talking about things that influence you. So, how long ago did you first conceive of this story? And, kind of what led to. I mean, I know it led to that creation that, you've been drawing these characters and the id thing that you saw in college. But, I mean, at what point do you take those things and turn them into actual characters? Like, when do you
um
say, I'm going to draw a blue guy? Like, how did that.
yeah, I guess it was really weird because like I started drawing Thane like 6.5 years ago, and I just was like, I need to draw some character, and I was like, I like Thing, like it'd be really cool if this character had spikes on their head, and I'm like, well, I guess the spikes is going to be hair, and then I guess the hair is going to be like a mohawk, and then and then all of a sudden, and then he was like, and then it's a little guy. I guess he's a germ. Is he an alien? No, I think he's like a mammal. Is he, or is he a reptile? Like it just kind of like formed into this weird dude, and like I'm like, is he small? No, he's muscular. He's really big. He's jacked. And then he became like Thane, and he's like, he's not 4 feet tall. He's 7 feet tall. Like it just kind of morphed over time into like this big dude, because he used to be kind of small and more like looked more like a kid. And again, that's over 6.5 years of just
So, when you design a
metamorphosis.
character, Thane in particular, but let's say the whole group, like, I know when I know my process for designing characters. I'm curious to know, like, will you start with a silhouette? Like, do you start writing
Ah,
down character traits and personalities?
I right. Kind of what I do is
Drink
I'll just
wine, like.
yeah, no. I'll
Uh-huh.
just like draw all these shapes and stuff until I basically get something that I'm happy with, and then I'll kind of like continue to elaborate on it. I usually don't do silhouettes on new characters. I usually just sketch it out first and then find it that way. I feel most comfortable like that. Silhouettes, though, I haven't really tried too much. It might be better. I don't know. So.
Um. So, what kind of tools do you prefer to use? Like, are you drawing traditionally when you design characters, or I assume versus digitally at that point, or are you just scribbling in Photoshop and you're like,
Um, sorry. I was looking at the comments. Anyway, I like to draw. I'm most comfortable drawing traditionally, although I'm trying to teach myself how to draw more comfortably with stylus, which I can do really well. Like Colby, I drew him completely digitally, and some of the characters in the bios, I drew them digitally too. But like again, like how you do it, like if the character is super big and I have to like zoom way in on them, then yeah, it's just easier to print them out and draw over their silhouette, and then scan them back in, and then retrace like trace digitally, or outline digitally. So there's kind of like different methods, I guess, for that. But of course, graphite pencil is the most comfortable that I feel, or is the medium I feel most comfortable with. So
oh, Ash has tempted to throw down your Kickstarter. Really digs your work and style.
thank you. And your comment about the virginity, that was what I was laughing about. No, it's not. He's definitely not a virgin. He's like a never mind. So
Big dog, dude. So, what part of designing a character would you consider to be your most fun part, and what would be your most difficult part?
I love the facial expressions. If you couldn't tell, Thane he's Mr. Expression. Like he's got like these huge eyebrows and this giant mouth. And I love that's my favorite thing is to make him like to always think of new facial expressions that he can make. And probably the most least fun part or the least fun part is probably feet and hands. Although even worse than that is probably like he needs a really cool gun. I have to design this really cool gun. What am I gonna do? You know.
They don't make a pencil big enough. Like, sometimes.
Yeah. So.
Alrighty. So, and you said Thane's like your favorite character so far that you put together.
Yeah.
Now, I am curious. Getting into the writing side, like I know as an artist, I used to basically, when I'm working for people, they would generally hand me a description of a character, and then I go and do reference pulling and shape design and kind of build some rough ideas. I find though that as an artist, like I started to just draw characters, but as I started writing stories, I found it way better to actually kind of develop the character story-wise and then develop a visual that fits that character. Like I'm at that point now. I'm just curious to know with this story, like obviously you designed these characters first visually and you had an idea, but as you create new characters for the book or you roll into ideas for part 2 or whatever else you're going to do in the future, are you finding that you're developing characters on paper or in character descriptions and character docs before, or are you still starting with like random concepts and ideas, visuals, and then that would work good for this?
Honestly, yeah, honestly, for some reason, since I writing is harder than drawing for me, and so when I actually have to do the other way around, I have to be like, I need a character for this, and once I draw the character, then all of the dialogue comes to me and what they're gonna do exactly and stuff like that. So, like, I know that like I have the general concept. I need this character kind of in this general area. And then once I draw them, I get like words and stuff like come to my head, and so it definitely helps if I draw them first, and that's why I'll like draw out scenes to get things really specific, to make sure because once I see the character's expression, then I can be like, oh yes, like it comes to me, like I don't know, like they're just the way that they're moving, I can describe that better and just things like that if I'm having trouble with it.
And
So,
what writing tools do you use? Are you using Google Docs
I
or
use Scrivener.
Scrivener?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
I
say
like
that's
it.
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I like it because it's just really organized, and I can basically have like this giant document that's basically kind of like it's like a little binder. So it's nice.
Yeah, and Scrivener's available for both Mac OS and Windows. Let me just take a little look really quick here. This is their website.
They do have a free trial, so if you want to try it out, I think it's like for a month or so, and then it's like 40 at one time fee of like about $40 to buy it. So,
Yeah,
but
it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome software. I myself use it. What's interesting about Scrivener is that you can also switch to corkboard layouts, while you're developing if you want. Like, so if you wanted to have different scenes plotted out like you would on index cards, and you can shuffle scenes around really easily. And it keeps all in your little books. You make these little books, and everything's hot. Like you can tag everything. So let's say you're writing a character, you're writing a bunch of chapters, and you only wanted to see the things that Thane appears in. Well, you can tag all those things that Thane is in, and then it will just bring up all the stuff with Thane. So if you're writing dialogue for a specific character, you can just work on that character, and it still fits into your story, your actual chapter structure. You don't have to like go back, open up 100 different documents, keep them open and everything. So also it exports to EPUB, PDF. It's really powerful. Even if you're not going to write, you're just going to develop stories. It's really good for development, I think. Like a very, very powerful, cheap program. I mean, $40. Whew. Yeah, give it a shot, folks. If you haven't tried it, just a place to put all your ideas into so they're stored, I think even helps too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, do you timeline at all, like your stories or your characters? Do you write down like when you plan out the story? Are you just starting with? So you're starting with the visual, and then you kind of write the structure around that.
I basically write. This is just the way my brain works, but I usually just write everything out, kind of like like this happens, but then this like I write in beats.
Right.
So that's kind of how I do it. I don't really do the timeline thing too much, or like the web or the diagram. That just confuses my brain. So I have to keep things like linear, sort of.
Right. So if you had a bunch of like little like dot thing fight, dot this, that, and that sort
Yeah.
of gives you the basic idea of what you want to do, and then you go and
Yeah.
flesh that out or break it
Uh-huh.
down into chapters, so forth and so
Yeah.
forth.
That's what I do.
So
Oh, and
who would?
sometimes I'll
Go ahead.
sometimes I'll write dialogue and then I'll write around the dialogue. It just kind of depends on what like the scenes like kind of how I want to tackle the scene. Some scenes are harder or you have to come at them at a different angle. So, um,
Mhm.
but what were you saying?
Well, so how do I say? So you essentially plan next year, roughly. You'd probably have the book post Kickstarter. Is your
Yeah,
idea? Right?
yeah, because I'm finishing part one now, and I gotta basically just kind of get all the rough art done, and then do the final art for it, and it'll have a cell shaded look.
For
I want
shame.
something.
How
What?
dare you using animation?
What?
You're
But I want it to be a movie.
No, 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 no. It must look
No, but see,
photorealistic.
the thing is, like the bat. Oh,
You should cosplay the whole thing. Just dress up. Get Brandon to be an id. Like, or you could do the whole thing in sock puppets. Like, just,
yeah. Yes.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Sweet. So, wrapping this all up, your next goal is to finish up the Kickstarter, which is in how many days are we talking about here?
21 days.
20. Holy crap, girl. 21 days left on the Kickstarter. Plenty of time. And so then you're going to get all these fine goods out to the people, and then you're going to move right into book one, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Super sweet.
Super excited.
Super.
So
And you're going to learn how to use InDesign.
I am. Yeah. I actually got pretty good at it last year, and then I haven't done it, or like 2 years ago, and then I haven't used it since, and I'm like, I don't remember anything.
And we'll be doing a lot of art tips on InDesign when you have questions.
Yeah, right. I'll be like, bro, every week.
Well, is there anything else you want to bring up that we haven't covered, Ashley? Things you'd like to mention?
I'm sure there is, but I can't think of anything right now.
Well, I'm excited. I'm glad. I mean, when we first met, we had you on the cast. I know this is something that you were, just in the beginnings of developing. And to sort of see you take it from just those designs through the prints, through this first Kickstarter, and then moving into your first book, is it's exciting to see. I mean, even at all levels, like if it was your first book or your fourth book, everything's different every time you do it, right? Like you
Yeah.
put up this Kickstarter, and then say you got 25 people. Next time you got 200 people, then you got 100 people. I mean, it always changes, but the interesting part about it is that you actually get to develop the idea, produce the idea, and ship it directly to customers, and no one can compromise the
I know.
story,
That's
right?
the best thing about it. Well, not, I mean, that's one of the good things. It's not the best thing, but still, it's pretty darn good. So,
The
control.
best thing is all the money, right?
Lots of
Money.
money.
They're gonna be like, you bastard. Like,
No, 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 no. I just like what I do. Money.
and hopefully we'll be able to, once your book's out, we'll be able to see you at a convention sometime signing, right?
Yes.
Selling
Yes.
T-shirts. You could take this to EDM concerts. So they'll be like, "Read, it's dark out, motherfucker." It can come with the glow light.
Yeah.
You can come with the glow light bookmark, right? Like, so
Yeah.
you can
Right.
read.
Yeah.
You can read it in the
Well,
dark.
it is cyberpunk, and there's a lot of glowy things, so it does fit in.
You could have a stretch goal where when you open the cover, it plays trance music.
Yeah. Hey, look, I even got a character in it that's a freaking mushroom dude with a bowler hat. He's like, yo, like people would just
Yo, he's like, yo. He crashes through the wall. Yo.
pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Ashley. Let's just wrap this up. Then, where can people find you and the Kickstarter on the internet? So, you want to know more about it?
You can find me at Instagram. I'm Gangfeather, and the Kickstarter link
Will be
is
below.
on my what? What'd you
It'll be
say?
below. The Kickstarter link
It'll
will
be below. Yeah. And if you for some reason go to my if you when you do go to my Instagram page, it's also on the Instagram page, the
Super
link.
sweet.
So yeah, just saying.
Alright, as for myself, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, say hi on Twitter, at SketchCraft, or on Facebook, at SketchCraft.net. SketchCraft.com takes you to the YouTube channel where you can subscribe and shower me with love and praise and awesomeness. I feed my ego. Please. Sketchcraft is recorded in front of a live internet audience. People like Hector, Ash, Gamal, Josh White. You guys were all in there today. Jared Hipkin. And 12 other lurkers. We appreciate you and are fully supported by your love and ego and your money if you choose to spend it. Please leave your comments and feedback below, and we will see you on the next Sketchcraft Live. Say goodbye, Ashley.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Ashley.
Oh.
You didn't even take it personal, man. You gotta say goodbye, Ashley. Goodbye, Ashley. Goodbye, Ashley. Do 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 do. Let's see if this exit video will play here. Come on, play. Oh, OBS. Dum 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 dum. Time to go spend some money.